Palestinian leadership is going to the United Nations tomorrow seeking to become a non-member state, which would effectively give the Palestinians greater international recognition.
That a historic event will take place when our President Mahmoud Abbas, with a large Palestinian delegation, will contribute to the efforts with all of our friends in the General Assembly to legislate the recognition of the State of Palestine at the United Nations.
However, if the historic vote at the General Assembly is successful, it could open up a legal minefield between the Palestinian Authority and Israel. Robert Barnidge is a lecturer in the School of Law at the University of Reading and is the adjunct fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies and joins us now from London. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Help us understand exactly what's at stake and what the process is here. What is it we should be looking at?
Well, I think we have to put this in a little bit of context because, as we'll recall, this time last year actually was in September of 2011. The Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, attempted to join the United Nations through the Security Council as a member state. Now, he was unable to get the requisite number of 9 votes, plus he couldn't have a veto by any of the permanent members. So that was effectively stymied. Now, he's going through the General Assembly, not as a member state, because that has to be secured through the Security Council, as I was saying.
Right.
He's going through the General Assembly, and the General Assembly can bestow, so to speak, non-member state status.
So what's the advantage in that? If you're not a member of the UN, what good does it do you?
Well, in fact, he made this very clear, Mahmoud Abbas, in May 2011 in an op-ed in the New York Times, in which he said that the reason that he was going to go to the United Nations to become a full member state in September 2011 was because it would open a whole series of legal options. In other words, there's the sense that the Palestinians would seek to ask the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court in The Hague to investigate and prosecute Israelis for violations of the war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide.
So for Abbas, then, this is his second trip to the UN in as many years, hoping to upgrade the status of his people. You mentioned the Israelis.
Right.
They can look on one side of them. They face Hamas, who apparently they can't talk with, and insists on firing rockets constantly into Israel. On the other side, they've got Abbas, who they seem to have, if uneasy, at least they have an ongoing, relatively peaceful relationship with. Is this a political entity that they wish to encourage? Would they rather move toward what Abbas wants, or are they vehemently opposed to what he wants?
Well, I think the main problem, the problem that the Israelis see is quite clearly that all the agreements that the Palestinians and the Israelis have agreed to since 1993, with the beginning of the Oslo process, have been, if you look at the text of all of them, they're rooted in this idea of negotiation. So the Israelis and the Palestinians have a legal dispute, and both sides have chosen and reaffirmed consistently in the last 2 decades that they would resolve their dispute through negotiation. And if I could just quote from the International Court of Justice's Georgia versus Russia judgment, just one sentence from 2011, the International Court of Justice defined a negotiation as a genuine attempt by one of the disputing parties to engage in discussions with the other disputing party with the view to resolving the dispute. And I think we have to remember that the Palestinians in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, have refused for a number of months, dozens of months, to negotiate with the Israeli government. So I think not only do the Palestinians, Mahmoud Abbas's faction, not only do they fall foul of the international law of negotiation, which I just read out, paragraph 157, but in fact, making this move, this application to the United Nations, non-member state status through the General Assembly, presumably could be seen as a material breach of the underlying legal framework that have bound together the Israelis and the Palestinians. And it could also be seen as a measure that a violation of international law, that a negotiated legal framework between the two sides, that could indeed allow the Israelis to take proportionate countermeasures against the Palestinians.
Robert Barnidge is a lecturer in the School of Law at the University of Reading, also an adjunct fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Thanks for this, sir. Appreciate your time.